there have been studies conducted in India on various crops. And let's take the wheat crop first. 4 states were studied, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, to ascertain whether a 1 degree rise in temperature would impact the productivity of wheat. And the study says, they studied 4 crops, wheat, mustard, barley and chickpeas in 4 states. And the study says that all 4 crops in all 4 states would witness a decline. In Haryana, the decline would be 4.2 quintals per hectare for every single degree rise in temperature. In Rajasthan it's 2.49, in Punjab it's 0.62, in UP it's 0.56. The same story is with mustard, the same story with barley, the same story with chickpeas. In chickpeas, Punjab will suffer by about 1.8 quintals per hectare. For anybody, if they need any of these research papers, I have the references with them, they can contact me afterwards. And everything I state here is basically from either reports or journal articles, please. But there was another study done in 2001 on the entire nation, not just these states. And it said that for a temperature increase between 2.5 and 4.9 degrees, the loss in rice would be 32 to 41%, and the loss in wheat is 42 to 52% in the entire country. You know, any loss in agriculture in Punjab doesn't affect the livelihood of Punjabis, but it also affects the food security of the nation and global food prices. Because global food prices are now suddenly become very volatile, and we know what a drought in Australia did to wheat prices last year. The GDP is also slated to decline only account of this by about 3%. Now it's not that every crop will suffer a decline, and there's a window of opportunity there, and that requires a great amount of research. In Madhya Pradesh, the soya bean crop may actually increase by 50% in case the CO2 level also goes by 50%. But if there's a temperature decline, an increase, then this is cancelled. And if there's a 10% water decrease, even then gets it reduced further. Which implies that we need to seriously consider each and every crop depending on the moisture and the humidity and temperature conditions in Punjab. There's a PAU study done on rice. And it says that for every 0.5 degree increase in temperature, the crop duration will be lesser by 2 days. Now we are not just talking of the production, even the duration of the crop decreases. And not only that, the grains per year, they also decrease. But why is this? There's something called a climate sensitivity index, which means that how sensitive is your agriculture to the climate. And Punjab falls in the highly climatic sensitive zone in India. Punjab, apart from a lot of neighboring states like Rajasthan, Western UP, even Gujarat and Haryana. And that is why it is critical for us. I was looking at some research on cotton, and I came across this undergraduate student from Stockholm University who had done this research. I was happily surprised, but I was also sad that an undergraduate in Sweden is working on the cotton crop in Punjab, and somehow we don't see much research on cotton crop and the effect of climate change on cotton out here. And this girl, Jesserina Flor Araya, says that climate change might increase the demand for more pesticides in cotton, because the crop will not be able to take the differential in the moisture content and water, because we all know that the cotton ball formation requires, that is the time period when it requires a lot of water. Also, when we talk of policy formulations, we have to separate the Indo-Gangetic plate, you know, the east and the west. West is Punjab and all will have to suffer from greater temperature, less water, whereas east will actually suffer from flooding and other problems. So this region-specific plans will have to be made out. I now move to health. And before talking of mitigation, basically I'm talking of how health will be affected. You would have thought that climate change can affect agriculture, but why health? Let's talk of the disease called cholera. I know a lot of people here are fond of that novelist Garcia, and his most famous novel is Love in the Time of Cholera. And if you recall that novel, it is based in a Caribbean port city. But why a port? And I quote a study here by Rita Calwell. She's written the cholera paradigm, and she says, the history of cholera reveals a remarkably strong association with the sea. It's a fact that every cholera epidemic is essentially related to the sea. But why am I talking of climate change and cholera and the sea? Because the same author then goes on to say that the sea surface temperature rise in Bay of Bengal is always reflected by an increase in cholera in Bangladesh. Now, how could sea temperature have an effect on cholera? It's fairly simple. When you have the sea temperature rise, the algae starts blooming at a faster rate. We have algal blooms. And the bacteria, Vibrio cholerae, has a symbiotic relationship with this algae. And cholera is a consequence. You know, when El Nino occurred, it occurs in the Pacific, and you might say that, how is it going to affect us? Again, the same thing. If the polar ice caps are melting, the sea level rise disaster is in South Asia. With El Nino, what are the consequences? El Nino causes flooding in Peru and Ecuador, which is South America. It causes a drought in Indonesia and Malaysia. It causes cholera in Bangladesh. All these have been documented. But do me a favor, when you go on the internet, just type El Nino in Punjab. Do you think there could be a linkage? Because we are not a coastal state. The story is that hotspots in climate change and human health were identified by a couple of scientists. Which is like, whenever there is climate change, there are certain hotspots in the world where the health parameters get affected. And Punjab is one of them. El Nino corresponded to an increase in malaria in Punjab. And I quote, the risk of malaria increased 5-fold in semi-arid Punjab and 4-fold in southwestern Sri Lanka in the year following El Nino. And this happened every time. Every time El Nino occurred, there was a spurt in malaria. And this malaria was essentially semi-arid Punjab. But the World Health Organization has also said in the Bulletin 2000, it said that there's a significant relationship between rainfall and malaria incidence in most districts of Rajasthan and some districts of Gujarat. It also talks of Punjab, but says that Punjab no longer experiences malaria epidemics. While we do not suffer from malaria epidemics, the incidence has always seen a 5-fold increase. While human beings can migrate, and we know that human beings' migration is a phenomenon, what happens to plants? Can they migrate? Due to global warming, plants have started migrating, and I'll tell you how. If there's a mountain and there are plants on the lower altitude, when the temperature rises, the temperature at the higher altitude then becomes comfortable for the plant and it moves up. The plant starts moving up the hill. And when plants go, insects follow. And when insects follow, insect-borne diseases follow. And that's what happened in Pakistan. In Pakistan, there's a study on epidemiology and control of malaria in modern Pakistan, and it says that at higher altitudes, malaria and dengue are now being found where they were not found earlier. So if Punjab is a hotspot for malaria, even neighboring Pakistan is higher altitudes are suffering from malaria and dengue, and even the frontier province in Pakistan, there's a study on falciparum malaria and climate change in the frontier province, and it says very clearly that why is it happening? Because the mean temperature in November is going up by 2 degrees and the mean humidity in December is also going up, leading to an increase in falciparum malaria. And the IPCC now says that due to increased malaria, between 220 and 400 million people will be affected in the next century. And which are these countries? Britain, Australia, and India. WHO also has something called DLY, which is the disability adjusted life years. One DLY is 1 year of healthy life lost. And due to malaria, in 1998, India lost 5,77,000 days.